Story 1. It was a hot August night in 2003, and I was hurrying to my apartment on the 32nd floor of a tall building in New York City. I'd worked late, and the streets were busy as always. I stepped into the elevator alone and pressed the button for my floor. The lights flickered a bit, but I didn't worry. Old elevators do that. Then, with a jolt, everything stopped. The lights went out, and the elevator froze. It was completely dark. I grabbed my phone, but it didn't work. No signal, no light. The air felt heavy and smelled like metal and sweat. I pushed the emergency button, but nothing happened. I banged on the doors, yelling, "Help! Anyone there?" My voice sounded loud in the small space, but no one answered. The only sounds were creaks and groans from the building, like it was moving or breaking. Time dragged on. The air got stuffy and breathing was hard. I sat on the floor, hugging my knees, trying not to panic. But every creak made me jump. What if the elevator fell? Later, I found out it was the 2003 Northeast blackout, which left millions without power. But in that moment, I was just scared, stuck, and alone in the dark. Then I heard a scratching noise above the elevator, like nails on metal. My heart raced. It's just the building, I told myself, but I wasn't sure. The scratching came again, slow and creepy. Then I heard a whisper, soft, like a voice, but not clear. It didn't sound right. I pressed against the wall, shaking. The elevator made a loud groan and shifted a little. I screamed, thinking it would drop and crush me. I tried to think of happy things, like my cat waiting at home, but the darkness was scary. It felt like it was squeezing me. The whispers got louder, closer, like they were right next to me. I swung my arms, but there was nothing there. "Leave me alone," I shouted, my voice weak. The scratching stopped, but the quiet felt worse, like something was watching. I lost track of time. My throat was dry and my head hurt from the heat. I scratched at the doors, breaking my nails, desperate to get out. Then a loud crack came from above, and the elevator dropped a tiny bit. I screamed and fell to the floor, waiting for it to crash. But it didn't. The whispers came back, louder, like a group of voices all around me. I covered my ears, crying, but they wouldn't stop. My mind started playing tricks. In the dark, I thought I saw eyes or hands reaching for me. I slapped my face to stay awake, to stay calm. The air was so thick, I could hardly breathe. I kept thinking about stories of elevators falling or people trapped for days. Was this how it would end? After what felt like forever, I heard a hum. The elevator shook, and a faint red light glowed from the emergency panel. I stood up, hope rushing through me. But the whispers got loud and fast, like they knew I might escape. The elevator moved again, and I braced for a fall. Then the doors opened, showing a dark hallway with glowing exit signs. I stumbled out, gasping, my legs wobbly. I ran to the stairs, not looking back. The whispers followed, but got quieter as I went down. When I reached the street, the city was a mess. Cars stopped, people yelling, no lights anywhere. I fell on the sidewalk, crying. Later, I learned the blackout had trapped lots of people, but no one else talked about whispers or scratches. I never used that elevator again. I moved out a month later because I couldn't sleep in that building. Every night, I hear those whispers in my head and feel the elevator's walls closing in. That blackout let something scary into that elevator, and it feels like it's still following me, waiting for the lights to go out again. Story 2. It was a stormy October night, and I was a nurse working late at St. Mary's Hospital. The wind was loud, shaking the windows while patients slept. I was at the nurses' station with Dr. Ellis and two other nurses, Clara and Sam, looking at patient charts. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and then everything went dark. The power went out, like during Hurricane Sandy in 2012, when hospitals had big problems. The backup lights didn't turn on. The machines helping patients breathe stopped beeping, and we heard soft moans from their rooms. My heart was racing. "We have to check the patients," I said, grabbing a flashlight from the desk. Its light was weak, barely showing the way. Dr. Ellis tried to turn on the backup generator, but it didn't work. We were alone in the dark. We walked through the halls, the air smelling like hospital cleaner and fear. Patients called out, sounding weak. In the ICU, I found Mrs. Carter, an older lady on a breathing machine, struggling. I used a hand pump to help her breathe, my hands shaking. Clara checked other rooms, her flashlight fading. "Where's the medicine?" she asked loudly. The pharmacy was locked, and we couldn't find the keys. A loud crash came from the stairwell. Sam went to see what it was, but didn't come back. "Sam?" I called, my voice shaky. There was no answer, just a creepy moan that didn't sound like a patient. I got chills. We stayed close, Dr. Ellis leading, but the halls felt strange, like they were moving. The exit signs were dark, and every door we tried was locked or led to more halls. Then we heard a dragging sound, like something heavy moving in the dark. My flashlight showed a tall, bent shape for a second, then it disappeared. "Did you see that?" I whispered. Clara nodded, scared. Dr. Ellis said it was just our minds, but he sounded nervous. The moans got louder, and machines that were off started beeping again. I thought I heard whispers like names of people who died here before. We reached the kids' ward where children were crying. A little girl grabbed my hand and said, "Something's watching us." I tried to calm her, but I was scared too. The dragging sound followed us, closer now. We found a locked fire exit, and Dr. Ellis tried to break it open with his shoulder. It wouldn't move. The air was hot and hard to breathe. My flashlight went out, and something cold touched my arm. I screamed, dropping the pump for Mrs. Carter. Clara cracked a glow stick, and its green light showed scratches on the walls like something clawed them. We ran, pulling patients with us, but the dragging sound stayed close. An old patient, Mr. Lyle, whispered, "It's the ones who didn't make it." I didn't want to believe him, but the whispers got louder, saying my name. I tripped over something, Sam's body, his eyes open, not moving. I almost screamed. We found a door to the basement. It was heavy, but not locked. Inside, it was wet, and the pipes made noises like the building was alive. The voices kept whispering, "Stay here." I pushed everyone forward, my heart beating fast. We climbed over boxes and reached a loading dock. Outside, the storm was wild, but it meant we were free. We ran outside, rain soaking us. Ambulance lights flashed in the street. I counted everyone. 3 patients were missing, including Mrs. Carter. I'd left her when my flashlight died. I felt so guilty. The police said the blackout broke the generator, like during Sandy, trapping us. They found Sam, but no scratches or strange figure. I never went back to St. Mary's. Every night I hear those whispers and feel that cold touch. I see Sam's dead eyes in my dreams. That dark hospital night stayed with me, waiting for another blackout to pull me back. Story 3. It was a stormy October night in 2025, and I was at home with my family in our little house outside town. The wind was loud, rattling the windows, and rain hit the roof hard. My wife, Emily, was reading to our kids, Lily and Max, in the living room. I was in the kitchen making hot chocolate when the lights flickered and went out. A blackout hit, leaving us in the dark, like when a big thunderstorm knocks out power and leaves you helpless. Our phones didn't work, and the alarm system was off. The kids got scared, and Emily said, "It's just the storm." I grabbed a flashlight, but its light was dim, barely showing anything. Outside, the storm was wild, but then I heard a weird noise, a scraping sound, like metal scratching wood, at the back door. My heart raced. "Maybe it's a branch," I said, but I wasn't sure. Emily looked at me, her eyes full of worry. The scraping turned into a loud bang. Someone was breaking in. "Get to the attic," I whispered, grabbing a baseball bat from the closet. We rushed the kids upstairs to our hiding spot and locked the attic door. It was dark and dusty, and we were all scared. We sat close together, Lily holding my arm, Max hiding his face in Emily's lap. My heart was pounding as I listened hard. I heard footsteps downstairs, slow and heavy. Glass broke, maybe the kitchen window. I turned off the flashlight, afraid its light would show where we were. The kids were crying quietly, and Emily whispered, "Be quiet." The intruders walked through the house, their boots loud on the floor. I heard low voices, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. They sounded like they were looking for something. A loud thud came from below the attic, like someone hitting the ceiling. My stomach dropped. Did they know we were here? The storm covered some noises, but I heard the attic stairs creak. Someone was coming up. I held the bat tight, my hands sweaty, ready to swing if the door opened. Lily made a small sound, and Emily covered her mouth gently. The doorknob shook, and I held my breath. Then a scary growl came from downstairs, not like a person. The footsteps on the stairs stopped, and I heard a yell and a crash. The intruders were shouting, sounding scared. Something big fell, and more glass broke. I heard them run. Then it was quiet, except for the storm. My mind was racing. Was it a trick, or something worse? The growl came again, closer, like it was in the hallway below. Max whispered, "What's that?" I didn't know what to say. We stayed in the attic for hours, too scared to move. Time felt strange in the dark. The growling stopped, but the quiet was scarier. I crept to the attic door, bat in hand, and listened. It was silent. I opened the door slowly, and it creaked loudly. The house was still, but the air felt bad, like it smelled of wet fur and something gross. I turned on the flashlight, and its weak light showed messed up furniture and claw marks on the walls. The back door was open, with rain coming in. We waited in the attic until morning. When the power came back on, I checked the house. The intruders were gone, and so were our things: jewelry, money, and electronics. The claw marks and that smell were still there, though. The police said it was probably thieves using the blackout, but they didn't know about the marks or the growl. Neighbors said they heard screams that night, but no one saw anything. We moved out a week later because we couldn't stay in that house. The kids have bad dreams, and Emily gets scared at every sound. I keep the bat by my bed, but I'm not afraid of the thieves. I'm scared of whatever made that growl, whatever scared them away. Every stormy night, I hear that growl in my head and see those claw marks. The blackout brought something into our house, and I'm afraid it's still out there, waiting for the lights to go out again. Story 4. It was a hot July evening in 2025, and I was on a crowded subway train going home from work in the city. The train was full, people packed close together, the air smelling of sweat. I held onto a pole near the door when the train jerked and stopped. The lights flickered, then went out completely. Everything was pitch black. A blackout had hit, like the one in New York City in 1977 that trapped people in subway tunnels. The air got hot and stuffy fast, with no fans working. People started complaining, but soon they got scared. Someone yelled, "We're stuck!" and others started screaming, their voices loud in the metal train. My phone didn't work. No signal or light. I found a small flashlight on my keychain, but its light was weak, barely showing anything. The train was so cramped, and I felt trapped, like the walls were getting closer. A lady next to me was crying, asking, "What's going on?" I said, "It's just a blackout." But I was scared too. The heat was awful, my clothes sticking to me. Then I heard a weird whisper, low and creepy, like it came from outside the train in the tunnel. Everyone went quiet. "Did you hear that?" a man asked, sounding nervous. No one said anything. The whispers got louder, but I couldn't understand them. They sounded wrong. A kid started crying, and someone shouted, "Be quiet!" People were panicking, pushing each other, but there was nowhere to go. My flashlight showed a shadow moving at the end of the train, tall and strange, gone when I looked again. My heart was racing. "Something's in here," a boy said, holding his mom tight. The train made a loud groan, like the metal was bending. A bang came from the tunnel, and the train shook. People screamed louder. I pressed against the door, my hands sweaty. The whispers turned into lots of voices, and I thought I heard my name. "Who's there?" I shouted, but the dark ate my voice. Something cold touched my neck, but no one was behind me. I swung my arm, hitting nothing. Time felt slow. The air was so thick I could hardly breathe. A man was praying, his voice shaking. Another guy hit the windows, yelling for help. The whispers kept going, and I heard scratching like claws on the train. I thought of scary stories about things living in subway tunnels. Was it real, or was I losing it from the heat and dark? Someone tried to open the doors, but they were stuck. A woman said she saw eyes in the dark. I didn't want to believe her, but I felt like something was watching us. My flashlight stopped working, and the darkness was complete. The whispers sounded angry, like they were warning us. I crouched down, holding my bag tight, trying to stay calm. A hand touched my shoulder, and I screamed, but it was just the lady next to me, crying. Then, I heard a hum. A dim red light came on in the train, showing scared faces all around. The whispers stopped, but the air felt heavy, like something was waiting. The train moved a little, and people cheered, but I stayed quiet, still scared. When we got to the next station, the doors opened and we all rushed out, breathing hard. Police were there, saying the blackout had stopped the whole city. They checked the tunnel but found nothing to explain the whispers or scratching. Some people mentioned the noises, but others said it was just everyone being scared. I wasn't sure what to think. My hands were shaking as I walked home through the dark, quiet city. I never took that subway again. I moved to a new place, far from those tunnels. But every night, I hear those whispers in my dreams and feel that cold touch. I see that shadow moving. That blackout brought something out in the tunnel, and I'm afraid it's still out there, waiting for the lights to go out again. Story 5. It was a cold October weekend in 2025, and I was camping in Blackthorn Forest with my friends, Mia, Jake, and Sarah. Our tents were near a small creek, and our campfire kept us warm. We were having fun, eating s'mores, and laughing under the stars. Then, our battery-powered lantern flickered and went out. The radio stopped too. A blackout had hit, probably from a power grid failure, leaving our campsite completely dark. Our phones didn't work, and our extra flashlight batteries were dead. I tried my flashlight, but it only gave a weak light before dying. The darkness was heavy, like it was pressing on us. The air got cold, and the forest felt creepy, like it was watching. "It's just a blackout," I said, trying to stay calm, but my voice was shaky. Mia held her sleeping bag tight, and Jake grabbed a stick to hold like a weapon. Then we heard a deep, scary growl from the trees. It didn't sound like a bear or wolf. It sounded wrong, almost like a person, but not quite. Sarah whispered, "What's that?" We all stopped moving, listening hard. The growl came again, closer, moving around our camp. I tried to see, but the dark hid everything. Twigs snapped like something big was out there. My heart was racing, and I felt cold sweat on my neck. We sat close together in the middle of the camp, scared. The campfire was almost out, just a few glowing bits left. Jake tried to light it again, but the wood was wet, and it wouldn't work. The growling got louder, coming from all around, like a group of things circling us. "Stay quiet," I whispered, but Mia was shaking, breathing loud. I saw a shadow move in the dark, tall and bent, gone when I looked again. "Did you see that?" I asked. Jake nodded, looking terrified. The air got colder, and a bad smell, like rotten meat, filled the camp. The growls turned into whispers, quiet and strange, like they were speaking words I couldn't understand. They seemed to come from everywhere, the trees, the ground. Sarah cried, "That's not animals." I wanted to say she was wrong, but I felt it too. Something else was out there. We tried to pack up and leave, but we couldn't find the path in the dark. My compass didn't work, spinning all over. Every step felt dangerous, like we were walking into trouble. A loud crack came from behind, and Mia screamed as something scratched her arm. We ran, tripping over roots with branches grabbing at us. The growls stayed close, and the whispers turned into a creepy chant, saying my name. We found a hollow spot under a fallen tree and crawled inside, hearts pounding. It was small and cold, with dirt all around. The growls were right outside, circling the tree. I heard claws scratching the bark, and the whispers felt like they were in my head. "We're not alone," Jake whispered, his voice scared. I tried not to scream as something heavy walked on the tree above us, making it creak. We stayed there for hours, freezing and scared. The growls stopped, but the whispers didn't. At sunrise, a little light came through the trees, and the noises went away. We crawled out, cold, scratched and shaking. Our camp was a mess, tents ripped, stuff scattered, with deep claw marks in the dirt. We hiked out, tired and scared, and found a ranger station. They said a blackout hit the area, but no animals could have done that damage. They didn't find any tracks or signs. We never went back to Blackthorn Forest. Mia has nightmares, and Jake won't talk about that night. I see those claw marks in my dreams and hear the whispers calling me. That blackout brought something scary out in the forest, something that knew our names. Every dark night I feel like it's watching, waiting for me to go back into the shadows. For more stories like this, share and subscribe, Goofy Horror.